What's going on, guys? I hope that you're all having a wonderful day today. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about 2025 movies for the first time. More specifically, which films I think have the best shot at cracking $1 billion at the box office. Now, of course, we're not going to be talking about every single 2025 movie, but I picked 18 films that I figured were worth talking about and would be somewhat in the conversation. Even if I really don't think they have that great of a shot, they still have a reason to be mentioned here today because of their popularity, their fan base, this or that. Either way, listen, every single year, only 1 to maybe 6 on a really good year, films actually end up cracking $1 billion. So of course, not all 18 of these movies are actually gonna end up making $1 billion, but which ones have the best shot and which ones have not really a strong chance, that's what I want to dive into here today. So listen, let's just look at this tier list here. Like I already mentioned, we've got 18 movies lined up here and 4 categories. First up, we've got guaranteed. I think that these movies are guaranteed or almost guaranteed to make $1 billion at the box office this year. Good shot. I think these movies have a pretty solid shot. They have a fighting chance at making $1 billion. Probably not. I feel like these are the films where everything has to go right for them to actually crack the $1 billion mark. Maybe I'll think that they'll make, 800 million or 700 or 600, but to really hit that billion, everything has to go right. It has to be a really good film. It has to have long legs and such. No way. I just don't think these movies, even though they are popular, because again, I put 18 movies that I felt were very popular that are going to be talked about, this film just really does not have a shot at cracking $1 billion, no matter what happens. Before we actually get into this ranking, if you guys like these types of videos, please consider dropping a like and also subscribe. I'm on the road to 1,600 subs. By the way, we just launched the Discord. The link is in the description down below. So if you guys want to join, it would mean the world to me. Let's talk about movies. By the way, just one more quick thing. I do have a video coming out that's going to be ranking every single 2025 movie. That's right, every single film by excitement. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely make sure you stick around. Definitely make sure you subscribe. But right now, we're just talking about the box office. When I'm talking about these films, though, like I just mentioned, I'm not going to be talking about my biases or my hype. I'm going to genuinely try to predict which films I think are going to make $1 billion. Starting off here, we've got Ballerina, the John Wick spin-off film starring Ana de Armas. I think bringing Ana de Armas into this franchise, I think spinning off this franchise is a good idea. But I think this movie is probably not going to make $1 billion. I know that Keanu Reeves is going to be in this movie, which I think is going to garner a lot of attention and hype, but the John Wick movies haven't really performed that closely to $1 billion, and when you're spinning off the franchise, and the name isn't exactly John Wick, it's a spin-off of John Wick, I don't think it's going to be able to crack $1 billion. Can it be a success? Yeah, I think this movie has a very good chance of being successful, but its terms of success is not $1 billion. It just needs to make a couple $100 million to be deemed a success. I think it's probably not going to make $1 billion, and I think that's fair to say. Next up, we've got Captain America: Brave New World. This might be a hot take. I don't really think it is. This movie's probably not going to be making $1 billion. I think it has a way better chance than Ballerina because Marvel Studios, at the end of the day, how can you realistically doubt them? Like, I'm talking at the end of the day, even though the Marvels flopped, even though some other films flopped, Marvel's got that name. You've got a Captain America movie coming out. This is a big name in the MCU, but now it's Sam Wilson. There's been a lot of reshoots for this movie. I feel like a lot of behind-the-scenes drama already. That's making me scared because I don't know if this film is actually going to be good. If this movie's good, I think it has a much better chance of being $1 billion movie because of the fact that people will hear good things about it, then they'll go to the theaters, maybe in those second or third or fourth weekends. But at the same time, if it doesn't get those good initial reactions, I don't really know what's going to happen with this movie. I think it might make a couple $100 million, but I don't think it's going to get even close to $1 billion. I'm talking like maybe at best this movie is going to make like $600 million. And I'm talking like if everything goes right. I don't know. I feel like it's just a weird time of the year, February. People don't really go to movies that often during that time. Also, talking about John Wick, that's dropping in June, and July is going to be a loaded month. So I actually think that also lowers the chance of Ballerina making that much money. Next up's going to be Elio. There is no way this movie makes $1 billion. The only thing helping this movie have a dying chance is that it's a Pixar film, but Pixar's original films have been suffering the last couple of years. And honestly, I know I said I didn't really want to make my own opinions kind of garner how I would rate these films based on whether they're going to make $1 billion or not. But I just don't think this looks that good, and I don't even think it's just me. I feel like nobody's talking about this movie. A lot of people are like, yeah, it looks fine, I guess. And how good a movie is does affect the box office, believe it or not. Because think about it. Sure, maybe that first weekend a lot of people go and they haven't really heard much about it, but then in that second week, in that third week, in that fourth week, and in the 10th week, maybe people heard good things and they want to bring their families to go see the film. So I think that this movie really doesn't have a good chance. Maybe if it's good, but at the same time, I think there's no way this movie's making that much money. And I could even see this being a potential flop for Pixar. Fantastic Four. This is really tough because the past couple Fantastic Four movies over the past 20 years have basically flopped from a quality standpoint. This is their fresh shot. Now they're in the MCU. This is a completely different reign over, the franchise, basically, now that Disney really has that full control over the Fantastic Four. I'm going to put this at the top of probably not. I know that might sound kind of crazy. The problem is it's competing with Superman and Jurassic World, which we're going to be talking about in a little bit. And if this movie, and this is actually a hypothetical, this is a real hypothetical, if this movie ends up moving to November, which there's been some rumors about, I would put it in good shot. But since that's not confirmed, since that's not an official thing yet, I'm not going to move it. Next up is going to be Avatar 3. This is the most guaranteed movie on this list to make $1 billion. I would literally bet my life this movie is going to make $1 billion. The question here isn't even, is this movie going to make $1 billion? It's how many billions is this movie going to make? Is it going to make $2 billion? Probably. There's a very high chance it does. Is it going to crack $3 billion? That's kind of like, okay, yeah, we'll see from there. $1 billion is literally guaranteed. I would bet my life savings on it. I would bet everything on it. Avatar 1 is like the highest grossing movie ever. Avatar 2 was right up there with it. They're both like top 3 or top 4, whatever it is, highest grossing films ever. People love the Avatar movies. It's coming out next December. It's a bit of a dry area, and Avatar owns that time of the year. No other movie studios want to put their films out when Avatar's coming out because they know it's such a big box office draw. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I'm going to be honest, this movie has absolutely no chance of making $1 billion. See, the first Five Nights at Freddy's movies was actually a box office success, but that's because the budget was very small, and even though it practically made 10 times its budget, I'm just making that number up, of course, it still only made like $250 million, $300 million, maybe 400, I'm forgetting the number off the top of my head, and that was considered a huge success. I don't think that a horror movie, that's based off a video game, especially because the first movie, in my opinion, wasn't really that good, I don't think that it's going to carry on the hype into this film after how bad that first one was, in my opinion, even though I know there's a fan base, to make this movie $1 billion. Next up is going to be the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. Now this is the thing, live action remakes have been pretty iffy, but most of them have been just from Disney, so they're all Disney oriented, but I think that people might get pretty excited about a How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. I'm going to say this actually has a good shot. This is a beloved franchise. Next year, Epic Universe, which is the Universal Park in Orlando, is going to be coming out with their own How to Train Your Dragon area of the park. So I think that could kind of get more hype around the franchise as well. I've got to say, I think this movie really has a good shot, especially if it actually looks good once we get more information, maybe a second trailer. I know we got a little teaser, but I think this movie honestly has a solid shot. Is it guaranteed? No, I think it's pretty risky, honestly. It's pretty 50-50, but I still would say it has a good shot, especially over maybe some other Disney live-action remakes. Next up is going to be Jurassic World: A Rebirth. I think this movie is guaranteed to make $1 billion. Don't get me wrong, I don't know if it's as guaranteed as the other Jurassic World films because those were still kind of newer, but Dominion was honestly kind of a letdown for a lot of people, so I don't know if it's going to go a little $1.5 billion or something crazy like that, but I think that this movie could just edge out $1 billion because now you're kind of restarting, right? You're doing, I don't want to say a reboot, but you have a new fresh cast in here. Scarlett Johansson, who doesn't love her? Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey is hot off of Wicked. This seems like it's going to be a pretty good film, I'm going to be honest. And, I'll get to that in a little bit. Once I make my video talking about what films I'm excited for, but I think that this movie is going to make $1 billion because even Jurassic World Dominion, which a lot of people thought was horrible, still cracked $1 billion. So people love this franchise. Next up, we're going to be talking about Lilo and Stitch, the live-action remake. I think this movie has a good shot. I'm going to put it above How to Train Your Dragon because of the fact that even though they've been making a lot of live-action remakes, Disney's already proven the fact that their live-action remakes can make $1 billion. So that's proven. A lot of people love Lilo and Stitch. And I mean, honestly, I don't think that the little teasers they've been putting out have been that bad. Even though I'm kind of against the live action remakes, I think that, again, following their track record, I trust Disney to make $1 billion off their live action remake instead of How to Train Your Dragon with DreamWorks, who haven't really done it or haven't had that much success with it. Next up, we've got the Michael Jackson biopic. Listen, I think this movie has a really good shot. I'm not going to say guaranteed, but a really good shot to make $1 billion. Michael Jackson is like the most popular pop star to ever live. Like, even, I know people talk about like Drake and some other people. There's no one like Michael Jackson. Everyone around the world knows his name. Everyone's going to want to go see this movie. He's being played by his nephew, Jafar Jackson. I may be saying his name wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Jafar Jackson, but he looks like identical to him. I think there's going to be like over 40 of his songs in this movie. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a long movie, I'm pretty sure. So I think this movie has a good shot. Michael Jackson's beloved, and don't get me wrong, biopics don't tend to make a ton of money. Occasionally they do, but this is Michael Jackson. This is like the greatest star to ever live, basically. Next up's gonna be the Minecraft movie. I think this film's guaranteed to make $1 billion. I'm gonna put it at the back because I think that Jurassic World Dominion definitely has a better chance, and especially Avatar, of course, but this is kind of like my riskier pick of the video. I think the Minecraft movie, you got Jack Black, you got Jason Momoa. These are box office draw type of actors. I think that Minecraft is a big enough name. A lot of kids are going to want to go see this movie, whether it's good or bad. And also, unlike Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a video game adaptation for a horror franchise that's a bit more niche, everyone knows Minecraft. Everyone knows Steve. Everyone knows, you got to punch the trees and you don't go out at night, all that stuff. This is a cultural phenomenon. For the past 15 years, everyone's loved this game. I think Minecraft, and again, this is a bit of a riskier pick on my end, is guaranteed to make $1 billion. Next up is going to be Mission Impossible. I'm going to put this at probably not. I'm going to put this right above Captain America 4. I feel like people would be more excited to see the final entry of the Mission Impossible franchise rather than just your next Captain America movie that has a new Captain America that people kind of don't trust to be good. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, maybe Bucky should have been it. Even just general audiences. The other movie, Dead Reckoning Part 1, well, now it's just Dead Reckoning, made a solid amount of money, don't get me wrong, but I don't know what the box office is going to be for this movie. I can't even predict what it's going to be. Is it going to do worse? Is it going to be better? I have no clue right now. We still need to see a second trailer, and the problem is, it's in a pretty competitive region. That May area of the year, there's going to be a lot of films coming out. I believe Lilo and Stitch is coming out around that time, so it's going to have to compete with a lot of other films, and even as it gets into June, maybe as it crawls to July, you're going to be fighting against some big dogs like Jurassic World Dominion, and even like some other films like Superman, which we'll get to in a second. Next up, we've got the Snow White live-action remake. I think there's no way this movie makes $1 billion. I'm going to put it above Five Nights at Freddy's and above Elio, so at the top of no way. The reality with this movie, and I'm not saying I agree or I disagree, I'm just speaking generally, is that this is a controversial film because of comments Rachel Zegler said and, Gal Gadot. I don't want to get into it, of course, but just because of that, just using my intuition, making an educated guess, for those reasons, I don't think this movie is going to make $1 billion. A lot of people are not going to want to go see this movie. Once it comes out, I think, it's going to be, the talk of the town, the toxic talk of social media especially. And I don't think that first trailer was really that good. I don't think a lot of people were sold on it. It seemed fine. It seemed, okay, I'm going to go watch it, but it wasn't really anything crazy. I just don't think this is one of the better looking live action remakes. I think Lilo and Stitch is going to be a much larger hit than the Snow White one. Next up is going to be Superman. This is a tough one. This is a tough one for a lot of people, but I am going to put my credibility on the line here. I am literally going to put all of my money on the table and go all in. I think Superman is guaranteed to make $1 billion, and hold on, I will explain why. I'm going to put it right here in front of the Minecraft movie. Listen, the trailer just came out. It was one of the top 5 highest viewed trailers of all time. The other trailers that surround it, those movies like Endgame, Infinity War, Deadpool and Wolverine, all those, they made like $1.5 billion, $2 billion. I think that Superman has a lot of hype. There's been rumors too, and keep in mind, it's only January right now. There's been rumors that they are pushing a Barbie-sized marketing campaign for this movie. I think that once they get the ball really rolling, and as we get into the Super Bowl season, as we get into, May, when they drop maybe like, the final trailer, all that, I think that this is going to be, and this is a quote from some executives, the summer of Superman. I think this movie is going to make $1 billion. A lot of people are doubting it because of the fact that Man of Steel didn't make that much, this and that. This is a new era. This is a hopeful, happy Superman, and I think the marketing is going to be ridden on the back of that premise. I think this film is guaranteed to make $1 billion. Again, I'm not trying to be biased, but in all seriousness, I genuinely believe that this movie has a super good shot of making $1 billion, nearly guaranteed, even over the ones in good shot. I know I said good shot, but you guys get what I'm saying here. Next is going to be Thunderbolts. This one's going to go in probably not. I'm going to put it like right here. I think Captain America, that's more of a name brand. I think Ballerina being John Wick. I don't think people care about John Wick as much as Marvel to an extent. The Thunderbolts is, your ragtag group of kind of like villains. I don't think that people care that much. I'm going to be realistic. I don't think that general audiences care about people that were from shows like John Walker, Red Guardian, who was in Black Widow, Yelena, who I absolutely love, and like Ghost and Taskmaster. I'm personally excited to see this movie, but I just don't think this movie has a chance to make even over like $750 million no matter what. If everything goes right, I think this movie can make $800 million, maybe. And I'm talking about if everything goes perfect. But $1 billion, I don't think I could see that happening. I'm going to be honest. I really don't think I could see that happening. Next up is going to be Tron Ares. I really have no idea where to put this. I think I'm going to put it in No Way, like right behind Elio. I mean, does anyone really care about Tron anymore? That's my biggest question. Who cares about Tron? And I'm not trying to sound offensive. I really mean that. Is there an audience for Tron? This movie was announced, and I feel like everyone was like, okay, cool, fine. That sounds okay. I don't think this film's going to make $1 billion. The only reason I put it on here is just because it is one of the bigger releases this year. It is a Disney-owned property. Disney films tend to be, higher budget films. They tend to garner more attention. Next up is going to be Wicked for Good. I think this movie has a good shot to make $1 billion. It's going to go right towards the back, though, because it's not looking like Wicked Part 1 is going to be making $1 billion right now, or it might just slightly cross over. We'll see once the box office projections are completely finished. But at the same time, this is the second film. This is, the payoff. This is the crescendo that we've been trying to build towards. So we got to see what happens. I feel like there was a lot of love for this film. A lot of people really showed out for this movie. It was getting a lot of love, a lot of good reviews. I think that once it hits streaming, more people are going to watch it. And that's why I think this movie has a good chance to make $1 billion. So even if the first one doesn't, even though it could be harder for a sequel to make more money than the original, I think it still has a pretty good shot. In the back of good shot, but I think it has a solid shot. And finally, we've got Zootopia 2. I think this movie, again, kind of following the footsteps of Wicked, another sequel, another second movie, I should say at least, has a good shot. I think it just has a good shot. I think that's a safe bet. Zootopia 1 made $1 billion, so we'll kind of see what happens with Wicked. But again, it's been a lot of years since that first film. I think that a lot of people like Zootopia. Kind of like what I mentioned with the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake. In Disney, in Animal Kingdom, they're going to be making like a little Zootopia area, I'm pretty sure. So I think that since people are excited about that, maybe as we get some more news, people will get excited about Zootopia 2 and they'll want to go see it. I'm going to put it probably like somewhere in this range. I'm going to put it above the live action remake because, again, I think live action remakes are a bit more risky, but I think people love Michael Jackson. So I'm going to fit it in right there. And that's going to pretty much wrap up what films I think are going to make $1 billion. If I had to say my safest pick on this list, it would definitely be Avatar, and I think my riskiest pick on this list is easily Superman. Honestly, my palms are sweating thinking about whether or not I'm going to be correct. And you guys can call me crazy, but I'm only crazy until I'm right, and we'll see what happens though. But listen, guys, let me know what films you think are going to make $1 billion. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.